How come every time I come home there ain't never no dick here? This is stupid ass house. The fuck?
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want?
Everybody love everybody. Come on.
I set the rules and you follow them blindly.
Who's listening? Listen!
I'm done. Please. I don't want to do this anymore.
Fine. Totally fine. I don't know why it's coming out all loud and squeaky, because really, I'm fine.
Fuck him. Fuck him.
And these are the stages women go through. It's well known that divorce is a tough time for everyone, but particularly for women. When a woman decides to divorce, she often comes prepared months in advance. Her friends know she has her finances in order, and her lawyer has advised her on how to gather all the evidence to make things difficult for you. That's why after the divorce, a man is left so devastated. The man has to face the blow head on, while the woman typically goes through the grieving process during the relationship. In the process, the man must talk to friends, find a place to live because nearly 80% leave the house, figure out how to divide the money, and determine the children's custody schedule. He realizes that his life has taken a 360-degree turn in a matter of months. That's why marriage seems to benefit only one side, and that's why the legal system often favors women in divorce. This process is tough for men, especially for those who dedicated everything to their homes, never put themselves first. That's when it starts to hurt even more, realizing the lost years, especially if there isn't a support network of friends, which is the current case for almost 70% of men.
When I got divorced at 32, I thought my life was over. No one was ever gonna want to date me. Like, I had this scarlet A and I was like branded for life. Yeah, I could literally not have been more wrong. And I just really wish that someone would have told me this, because I literally wasted so much time having all of these pity parties for myself. Like, we're talking when I was ready to start dating again, I had a full-blown roster. High quality men. Successful, smart, handsome, funny, all the things. Like, literally, I was just joking with my friends that I, post-divorce, had more men, like, coming at me than I did when I was 24. Let's talk about why I think this is. When you come out of a divorce, you just have this new, profound strength and confidence. Like, kind of this fuck you all attitude. I don't have time for bullshit. I don't have time for game. I've been through it. Do not fuck with me. And it is so wildly magnetic. Because after a divorce, you have to figure all of your shit out. You gotta pick up the pieces. I was so much more independent. I knew exactly who I was, exactly what I wanted and what I expected out of a partner. So please stop worrying. Have some fun dating. I got good things coming.
After the divorce, she had a list of suitors. You know how it goes, surely a sausage fest. It's one thing to have suitors. Almost every woman has them even after hitting the wall, but it's another thing if she actually wants to get married or form another relationship with you. Because there are plenty of thirsty simps out there. The problem is most women misinterpret this. They think that having 5 or more men pursuing them means those guys are looking for something serious. What many men see, however, is a vulnerable woman seeking revenge or trying to forget everything, in short, fresh meat. And since men don't pass up the opportunity for a night of passion, who cares if she's divorced or not? In the end, it's not like we're getting married. It's just a night of fun. After the divorce, they go through a bunch of chads, men who bring nothing to the table except their seed. She starts to realize that the grass isn't always greener, because she forgets that men have an advantage here. A woman can date 10 or more men, and it doesn't guarantee commitment. But a high-value man can date 10 women, and 9 of them want to marry him. Brothers, never stop working on yourselves.
If you're going through a divorce, this video is for you. It's a long video, so bear with me, but I want to tell you this. I know what you're going through. I know you feel your life's over, everything you've worked on, you feel like you've wasted time, you're maybe angry at yourself or your spouse. I assure you everything happens for a reason, and better days are ahead of you. If it wasn't for my divorce, I never would have gone to YouTube to start a movie review channel. That channel, as horrible as it was, got me exposure. It got me a better career with my employer doing video editing. If it wasn't for that channel, I would have never ended up at a Comic-Con interviewing celebrities and having a time of my life surrounded by my fellow nerds. If I didn't start that channel, I would have never ended up on TV here locally in San Antonio doing movie reviews. My divorce led me to that position and gave me a whole new world of friends, experiences that I am forever grateful about. That channel led me here to TikTok, where I'm now talking to 229,000 people, giving my advice, helping them get through some of the darkest moments of their life. That decision led me to my girlfriend 6 years later, who is now pregnant with my son. I'm having a son. And I promise you, as dark as it seems right now, if you stay positive, if you learn from your mistakes and put good energy out there, it'll come back. And it's a wonderful ride. You'll be okay.
Bravo for this, brothers. Being a wonderful man is truly remarkable. If you're a man who takes care of his health, goes to the gym, pays attention to his appearance and clothing, has a solid group of friends, maintains a stable job, always creates opportunities for career improvement, buys his own car, manages his businesses and savings, when someone leaves your life, you don't feel that impact. When you're one of these men who dedicates everything to his family, never puts himself first, lets that dad bod take over, never improves his image or style, never leaves the house, stays in the same job for 20 years without any salary improvement. Brothers, when they take everything from you, because believe me, they go for everything, you end up destroyed, feeling alone because you didn't even maintain your friendships. Brothers, don't be that man I described. Always, even if you have children or a wife, pursue excellence. A man who takes care of himself is a man who takes care of his family. Additionally, when you're a man who does all of this, you'll have a healthier marriage. Women are competitive among themselves. When they see that their man brings a lot to the table, that if they leave him, he'll have someone younger and more beautiful in his life tomorrow, that woman won't let you go. She won't even mind sharing you as long as it doesn't lower her standard of living. That's why you always see men who stand out and others who get lost in mediocrity, because they forgot that their greatest responsibility is to themselves.
As someone who has gotten separated and will be getting divorced, I want to share some things with you that I have learned so far on this journey. If you are amicable and you can go the mediation route instead of hiring a bunch of lawyers and spending thousands of dollars, do it. Put everything in writing, even if you're questioning if you should put it in writing. Put it in writing. Be flexible. We are humans. We have tiny little humans, and things are going to come up. So you just have to be flexible. Just because you have a schedule doesn't always mean that that schedule is going to work. Take the time to grieve. Take the time to grieve your old life, things that you thought, were going to happen in the future, and give yourself time, because you might feel okay one day and then you might feel not okay the next. And lastly, if you have children, try to agree to spend some holidays together. So Thanksgiving, Christmas, and make sure that your child feels like they still have this family unit, regardless of what has happened.
There's at least one conscious woman, because the majority of women don't want to maintain harmony with the father of their children. That's why you see so many families destroyed, because they don't think, if I leave this man on good terms, he won't be destroyed, and he can help with our children. Plus, their father won't fall into so much debt. Besides taking everything, there are the attorney fees, which are even worse than losing half of your money. You've seen divorces that last a year, during which men have had to pay up to $50,000 to a lawyer. The woman doesn't think about how she's making her family purr, and that it will affect her children later on. She just wants to destroy the man, see him in ruins. That's why you see fathers who, after the divorce, don't even want to see their children because of the immense hatred they have for the mother due to the abuse of the divorce.
87% of divorced women are broke within 5 years. As a licensed financial coach, I've helped hundreds of women thrive financially through divorce, and here are my top 5 financial tips for you. 1. Stop fighting for the house. The house is not the end-all be-all. You're probably giving up other important assets like retirement and potentially income needs if you're only fighting for the house. 2. You should create a financial plan for yourself before the divorce, not after, so that you know your needs for your future. 3. Negotiate a cost of living rider into your alimony and child benefits. This means as your expenses continue to grow with inflation, so will your income. 4. Keep in mind, if you were married at least 10 years and you don't end up remarrying, you may be able to collect off half of your spouse's Social Security when you come to full retirement, and this could be higher than yours. 5, learn to implement the 50-30-20 rule. This is where you put 50% of your expenses towards your living expenses like housing and food, 30% towards discretionary spending, those variable expenses that just happen to come up, and 20% towards your retirement and towards your savings. If you need to create a financial plan for your divorce, then feel free to go to the Bank in My Lyle and you can schedule a free call with me.
This is what I call one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, a woman who prepares herself before divorcing to secure more of the man's money. It includes alimony, retirement, the house, savings, children, child support, brothers. It turns the man into a total slave. After the separation, they come out on top. You don't see how, as they say, 5 years after the divorce, they end up spending everything they took from the husband. Let me tell you something. Even though she says not to keep the house, most women who go down this path don't retain the house they lived in, the one most men leave when they have children. They end up on the street because if they don't know how to manage themselves and don't have a house, they end up on the street or at their parents' place. That's why many men give up the house with the condition that they can't sell the house of their children. It remains in the name of the man's children, not for whatever may come afterward. But many, like this woman, go for the retirement. They want alimony. Fortunately, in some states, they don't grant permanent alimony if the marriage lasted less than 20 years. That's why it's always said that a man who rises after a divorce is a man worth 2 because the woman almost always ends up ruined. But the man knows how to bounce back in this life. Brother, be happy to be a man. Work on yourself.
I'm going to start documenting all of my dating history so you guys can see what it's like as a single woman over 40 that's trying to date in this generation. I've been stood up, ghosted, lied to, all in a matter of 3 months. Different people. And I know you're going to say, oh, you should choose better people. Here is my theory. High value women are not considered worthy because our standards and expectations are too high. So men will go for lower value women because they're lower maintenance. And when I mean lower maintenance, I'm not talking about the type of house you live in or what you look like. I'm talking about your character and your integrity, who you are in your core and what you stand for, your beliefs, your morals, your ethics, your standards, your expectations. Lower expectations equals lower effort, lower maintenance. Higher expectations equals higher maintenance.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
With just one word, I can already tell why she's single. High-value woman. This is the typical woman who has hit the wall hard, because the wall doesn't forgive. She never wanted to date an average man, chasing after the high-value man she believes she deserves. It's absurd to tell a woman she's of lesser value because she chose an average man who could offer her what was fair. I could say, and perhaps everyone watching this video would agree, that at some point in their lives, their fathers were average men. Men and women who came together, moved forward as a team, started with nothing, and now have a great life. But these types of women idealize a life with a man who provides everything for them just for existing. They never consider supporting a man or building something together. They feel entitled to a winner, believing all they have to do is wait for him at the finish line. Instead of choosing an average man and building a future together, they cling to this belief, even at 40. Watch how her opinion evolves throughout the video as she reaches this stage of life.
More effort. More than the bare minimum. I am worth more than the bare minimum. I am worth more than a phone call or a text every few days. I am worth what I give and put out. And not that kind of putting out. I mean the time, the energy, the love, the kindness, the compassion. That all comes from a genuine place. So yeah, high value women are valued. Even that means high maintenance, and that takes more time, more energy, and more effort. A high value man would want to put in the energy and the effort. So even though you may think you are high value, you're really not. Because you're not going for what is better. You're just going for what is easier. I'm bitter. I'm just tired. Tired of being stood up. Tired of being lied to. Tired of being ghosted. Tired of being misled. Tired of feeling things that are not being reciprocated. It's exhausting. There are some good men and women out there. You guys gotta show up and just be yourself. Put in the energy and put in the time and put in the commitment. If you're not willing to do that, then don't bother. It's okay if you don't want to.
Single, over 40, on TikTok complaining, yet she considers herself high value. I wonder why she's single. I'm so sorry. It's tragic. To be used over and over. I also feel tired. Going on 5 years. OMG, you are so right, and those are many of the reason I have been single for the past 4 years. At 53, I'm not sure I'll ever find someone. Guess it's good that I'm good alone. Ask yourself, what does high value mean? It's not the value you put on yourself. It's the value others see you and what you bring with you as. It's true. I'm over 40 and men are afraid of such women. We know what we want and we appreciate our value. I stopped dating few years ago. I'm 41 now, and to be honest, it brought me peaceful life. Our time has passed, and we should accept it.
Love you for infinity.
People say that they call bullshit when I tell them that I'm single and that I can't find anybody, and I'm here to tell you why it's not. It's not for a lack of trying or giving people a chance. And you're going to say, well, you don't give the right people a chance. How do you know who's right and who's not until you actually try? The thing is that I do expect a little bit more than the bare minimum. No, I don't expect you to call or text me every 5 minutes, but I expect consistency. That just lets me know that you're still interested. And I'll reciprocate the same. I have no issues doing that. But if I get the feeling that you have a roster and you're not putting your energy and time into just me and you're entertaining multiple people, then I'm out. I don't want to be an option because I know what I want and I'm either in or I'm out. There's no gray area. Unlike most people, I give people the benefit of the doubt. And that's probably why I'm still single.
She's already 45 and still has the same mindset. My mom once had a friend who was this type of woman. She earned well and always felt that men didn't do enough for her. She considered herself high value. The problem is that we all think of ourselves as high value people, but it's the market that determines your value. One day, this woman told my mom she couldn't find good men. The same old story. My mom was firm and said, I've known you for 20 years, and I can say you've met plenty of good men. But you always looked for the smallest reason to say they didn't put in enough effort and left them to chase a better man. She started listing the names of some of her ex-boyfriends, men who were now happily married. You see, back then, in small communities, everyone knew each other. My mom told her, you could have been one of those wives, but you always found flaws in everyone and thought you were better. The woman was speechless. Years later, she married a regular guy, worse than all the options she'd had before, but she was happy. Why? Because someone finally brought her back down to earth. Lower your standards. You're not the last Coca-Cola in the desert.
I got 7 kids. I'm their daddy now. I don't like to clean. I love dirty bitches. I smack the shit out you. We gon' fight. I'm a hoe. I'm a pimp. I'm broke. I got bread. I'm homeless. You can live with me.
If you show a girl you don't care, she'll chase you. If you show a woman you don't care, she'll fucking replace you.
Your choice of men sucks. You are the one to blame. Choose good men instead of the ones that excite you, and it won't suck. There's usually a reason why a man doesn't care. If he's gotten to the stage where he's uninterested, you're probably doing him a favor. All this feminists. I will replace her too because she didn't show interest at first. That's why I actually don't care anymore. If a girl is that good looking and single, I'm here to tell you something is messed up in your head.
Okay, guys. So let's talk about the dating world, because I think I've completely fucking given up on this shit show. I am on my last fucking leg with the dating scene. Like, this is just stupid. It's just dumb. I can't even anymore. This is actually for guys and girls. If you don't know what you want and you can't figure out your shit, then I suggest you get to the back of the fucking line. Actually, don't even go in the line. Don't. I don't mean to sound like a Karen or a broken record, but the idea of meeting somebody and dating is because that's what you want. You want to meet somebody that you want to share your life with, that you want to share experiences with, that you want to share something that's meaningful with. If you don't fucking know that's what you want, then don't fucking date. It's simple. And if you're also just looking for the next best thing, because you think there's going to be something better out there for you, that's not dating. This isn't fucking Tinder, people. Okay? Love yourself.
Stop it. Get some help.
The wall doesn't forgive. She's already 48, and as you can see, she never changed her convictions. You might wonder, as a man commented, how a woman who looks good can still be single. Does she have something wrong in her head? No. It's because she buys into the feminist narrative of, I shouldn't settle for less than I deserve. Nowadays, we're living in a time where a woman can easily be in a better position than many men. If she's only looking for men at her economic level, her options will be limited. Many women don't want to be a man's support, and they end up alone as they climb the corporate ladder. I'm saying this because she's a CEO. Now, who do you think is happier? The low-value woman who married a good man, supported him, and now enjoys a good life with him? Or the high-maintenance woman who's still single at 48, telling herself she won't settle for less than what she deserves? The question is for you. My answer? The wall doesn't forgive.
I am so tired of feeling like it's never going to be my turn to find love, and I know that someone out there knows what I mean right now. Like, I know I'm overreacting to this specific incident, but this is like the 4th time this has happened since I re-downloaded the dating app earlier this month and decided, you know what, I'm an adult. I'm going to try and get like an adult relationship and actually do dating for once. So we match, we talk for a while, we plan the date, right? We can't do that day. We move the date to this day. Totally fine. I go, how about 5:30? Reasonable time. Let's actually get dinner. Like, let's commit to this. This seems promising. He goes, okay. Then he texts me and goes, can we actually do 6:30? Because I have a meeting. It's going to run a little long. I'll be able to do 6:30 instead. And I said, that's a little bit annoying because it's a tad bit late. I'm going to be starving, but that's fine. So today's the day, right? 5:45 rolls around. I've just finished doing my hair and makeup, and I get another text from him going, hey, I'm running late again. Could it be possible that we move the date to 7 again? So I text all my friends, both guys and girls, just to make sure I'm not crazy and go, do I allow this? And they go, no. Moving it once, maybe. Twice, that's where I would have stopped it. But a 3rd time? Absolutely not.
Fuck up, you crazy bitch whore!
Woman, the saying really fits you. Happiness comes from within. You just need someone to bring it out of you. Honestly, this woman needs to get laid. All this feminism stuff has her losing it. She's suffering because of it, and she really needs a man in her life to give her a good night of intimacy, to clear out the negative energy in her body. Like I said, to bring out her happiness. She's got so many videos about being ghosted, about being betrayed, endless issues with men who don't meet her expectations. Everything with men is a problem for her. She's in this self-imposed celibacy, hasn't had intimacy in years, and she shares all of it in her videos, even crying when Trump won. Woman, you're not right in the head. This poor woman, depression and stress are going to destroy her. She needs to get laid. She needs a real man to reconnect her with her feminine energy, to make her feel like a woman again. Maybe then she could change and find happiness. Let's continue.
I'm starving at this point, and that's just disrespectful of my time. So I send him a little respectful, you know what, hey, don't even sweat it. Like, you enjoy your evening. It's pretty late already, and I am starving, so I'm just gonna eat. And he keeps texting me, and he's also, like, now trying to guilt trip me, being like, I'm not going to enjoy my evening. Like, well, so red flag, you know, bullet dodged, I guess, in the long term. And usually I would just let it go. However, I have planned, like, almost 4 or 5 dates now since I re-downloaded the app. Almost every single time, this is exactly what keeps happening. They keep pushing the date back until I just have to say, hey, I'm not going anymore. Because that's disrespectful of my time and me as a person. And, like, I know this isn't the biggest deal in the world, but it especially feels like it really digs into that childhood wound of, like, no one's ever going to love you. You're never going to find anyone who loves and respects you. And it's like, why does this keep happening? Like, when you make a plan and you say you're going to show up at a certain time, and maybe it's just me, I need you to show up at that time. I need to know that you are a person of your word and that you can show up for me, especially, like, early on in the beginning like this. It's just a big thing for me, and, like, trusting people and consistency. Shout out childhood wounds. Why is it so hard to find a man who respects you and your time as a person? These are some very bare minimum standards to be setting, and why does it feel so impossible for them to meet? Like, I've had enough. I'm exhausted. It feels like there's absolutely no end in sight. Everyone on this planet deserves someone who respects them and their time and treats them well. And I'm not even asking people to, like, move mountains for me anymore at this point. It feels crazy. Like, these boys and dating are genuinely starting to make me feel crazy.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
I feel you. I've never had a BF, and I'm going to be 28 in a month. It's heartbreaking. Everyone I know my age is getting married and having kids, and I can't even have a BF. You need to stop planning dates. Let them make all the moves. If they don't, that is your answer. Invest less initially. Don't settle. I'm almost 40, ups and downs in relationships. We are enough. We don't need no man to make us whole. Hope you find someone that respects your time. But also 5:30 is a very tough time for most people with jobs to meet. He sounded accommodating and communicative, but some people's schedules are tough. This is definitely not overreacting, but 5:30 is super early for a date emo. If I die, take my husband. I feel so bad for people that have to date. It is awful out there.
I saw a video of a girl talking about how she had to delete Hinge, the dating app, because it was affecting her confidence. I second that. Because, like, once a week, I'll go and see who, like, liked my Hinge photos or maybe commented, see if there's any, like, potential. And it always just makes me sad. For the most part, I consider myself a fairly attractive person. Maybe not right now. I'm not really in my element. This is my, like, stay at home, no one sees me look today. But when I see the guys who are liking my photo, I'm like, what do I look like? What do I look like that these guys think we would ever match or be compatible, okay? Because I am only attracting unattractive men on Hinge. They're all unattractive, okay? And it makes me start thinking, wait a minute, if all these men are unattractive on Hinge who like me, if I'm attracting unattractive men, am I unattractive? You know, and you start second guessing yourself. I know I'm not the only girl who feels this way. And for the girlies who are in a relationship with an attractive man, keyword attractive man, where did you find him? Just curious. Would love to know. Please comment down below where you found him. Because they're definitely not on Hinge. And it's either that or maybe I'm just lesbian and I don't know yet.
Oh, hell no!
And then they wonder why they can't find a man. Maybe the attractive men you like just don't like you. And maybe you're not as attractive as you think you are. Unlike women, men don't use filters. We're not fake, and we don't overly edit our photos. You might be aiming for a man who's a perfect 10 in looks when you're barely a 6. Women like this are the ones who get involved with a man they don't really like just to avoid being alone, and then they end up cheating on him because they were never truly into him. But the girl in the first video has an opinion about this. Let's take a look.
A video of a girl talking about how she had to delete Hinge, the dating app, because it was affecting her confidence.
I've heard so many people complain about Hinge now, and I have the answer. It might make you feel a little better, but let's talk about how Hinge is literally the worst dating app on the market right now. First of all, there's previous creators talking about a complaint I think we've all had with Hinge, where, like, where are all the attractive people? Like, it just feels like we're never getting any really attractive matches, which is weird because when you go on Bumble or Tinder, right, it's a completely different story. You're getting matches. They're all there. You can see them. So it's like, do attractive people just not use Hinge? And no, they do, but there's a reason they hide them. Similar to this creator and many girls and boys I've spoken with, you're just like not getting as many matches on Hinge as other apps. But my friends and I have noticed that we get more roses and like paid matches on that app than any other app. So it just doesn't add up. Why would people be more willing to pay for us to be matched there instead of free? And many of us have noticed they keep the most attractive members behind this paid rose wall on this little section at the bottom of the app.
I get insane amount of likes, but they're no one I'm attracted to, so I just thought I was picky. I get like 99 likes in just a few hours and I'll deny all of them. Glad I'm not alone. Most people on both sides think they're a 10 when in reality we are all mostly average. So dating up usually leads to dead ends of being cheated on. My therapist said, you only like about 1% of the people you meet in person. Why would that be any different on an app? Same girl. That's why I deleted all of them. Can we all boycott the apps so the men have to step it up? That's the problem. Most people think they are above average. But in reality, most men and women are average looking. Most people look about the same. I know I'm not the intended audience, but it is posts like these that make me feel like garbage since apparently I'm often the man on the other side. No, literally. All the guys that like me on Hinge, I'm like, what makes you think you can get me?
If you're doing the math, which I know we're beautiful people, so that's hard for us to do, that means that Hinge is keeping you hidden behind this rose wall as well. And they're forcing people to have to pay to match with you because Hinge does not care about finding you your soulmate or someone to go out with. They just care about taking your money and also keeping the attractive people locked away and trapped on their app as long as possible. But also don't fall for them trying to like force you to pay the most expensive subscription prices out of any of the apps. Like, it's getting insanely priced, but back in the day when it was like $10-12, I decided to try it for 1 month to see if it would be any better at all. And I found that it literally wasn't any different, despite the fact that they're constantly advertising it as the best way to use their app. So, like, what is the point of me giving you that money if it's not any better? But yeah, it just feels like Hinge doesn't want to actually find you a match. They just want to make your life as difficult as possible. The concept of the app is amazing, but the execution is absolutely garbage. So if anything, Hinge is almost deterring attractive people from using their app by using this method. We just haven't all figured it out yet.
You have to have a very delusional mindset to say, we're such beautiful people that Hinge is hiding us. Or maybe the algorithm is showing you people at your same level of attractiveness, and the more attractive ones aren't being shown because you're not in their league. Women are the only beings on earth who, if you ask them to rate their level of beauty, all say they're a 10. The issue is that they all want the top 10% of men, but there simply aren't enough of those men for all the women who think they deserve them. Plus, when women use dating apps, they can easily find a partner within a week and then delete the app. It's like a last-minute sale. What women don't understand is how hard dating apps are for men. Beyond getting a match, you also have to convince her to talk to you because she's likely chatting with multiple men at once. Then you have to invite her out, make sure the date goes well so she'll want a second date, and keep the conversation going to see if it leads anywhere. This is the reality for the average guy. For a Chad, this logic doesn't apply. That's why you see so many women ending up hitting the wall, because one thing is certain. The wall doesn't forgive anyone.
Here's advice about dating a divorced parent with kids that I don't think any of you are going to take. Let's say you fall madly in love with a divorced parent who has one child. I do not think that you should date that person until 3 years from when their divorce agreement is signed. Not 3 years from when they get separated, not 3 years from when the marriage went sour, 3 years from when the divorce is complete. 3 years per child. So if you fall in love with a divorced parent with 2 minor children, you should date them 6 years after their divorce is complete. For a year after they complete the divorce process, they are simply mourning and grieving the dissolution of a marriage, because oftentimes people can't grieve that fully while they're divorcing, and they're grieving the losses from the divorce process. The divorce process in and of itself offers people losses they need to grieve. So that first year is just them processing the trauma and the loss of the marriage and the divorce.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
You never notice how women give this kind of advice to other women when it's about criticizing men, but when it's about moving on with the man they like, the narrative changes, even if they're still married. Once, a woman told me, "A woman grieves the relationship while she's still in it." This means that before deciding to leave you, she's already been preparing herself, sometimes for years before telling you. It's no coincidence that women initiate 80% of divorces in this country. You know what bothers me? The double standards. When a man leaves a woman and has someone new within a week or two, he's accused of being unfaithful, as if he was involved with someone else before separating, as if men simply can't move on. But when women do the same, the story is that she deserves to be happy. Just look at the advice they give each other when they're the ones on the other side.
I think it's totally okay to date while you're waiting for your divorce to finalize. My divorce took 2 years and 4 days, and if it was up to me, we would have been done in 6 months and 1 day, which is what California, how long they make you wait. The irony is that my ex-husband and I agreed to every single thing that I had typed out on a Word document, presented to him at our kitchen table, like 1 or 2 months into the separation. He agreed to what I had written down. But instead, it cost both of us like tens of thousands of dollars, tons of lawyers, and 2 years, 4 days later, because he wanted to drag things out. And I truly believe that the reason he wanted to drag things out was because he was watching me have too much fun or hearing about all the fun I was having on social media. I wasn't broadcasting dates or anything like that, but you could just tell I was having a good time with my friends on the weekend when I didn't have my kids. And I think the only control that he had was to retaliate by making things go as long as he possibly could. So feel free to date, but I would keep all the fun that you're having to yourself for after your divorce is final.
Stop it. Get some help.
My divorce is still pending after 4 years. I've been with my BF for 3 years, lol. Same. 29 months and 4 days. Been dating for almost a year, and he still doesn't know. Absolutely keep dating private. Nothing posts to social media until divorce is final. We are going on 3 years, and it's still not finalized. Emphasis on their need to try to control and try to make us miserable like they are. It's truly so sad for them, and unfortunately the kids. He probably was trying to prevent it from happening because he wanted you still. And yes, control, which shows how toxic he is.
Second year is for that parent-child dyad to find a new balance of daily living, just their new normal. How do they handle homework? How do they clean out the fridge? How do they get the kid to extracurriculars? What's the balance there? What is the rhythm of their days? They need time after processing the trauma and the loss to find that new rhythm. So they process the trauma and the loss, they find their new rhythm, that parent-child dyad together, and then they have a year to cultivate bandwidth in their brain. Because being in a relationship is not easy. Being in a relationship and considering another person's needs and life and emotion and their own rhythm of their days, that takes a lot of cognitive bandwidth from both the parent and the child. Frankly, you know, the sad part about kids in divorce is that kids don't choose and have almost no control over when marriages go sour. Kids don't choose divorce, and kids also don't choose when their parents bring other people into their lives.
Do you see how the narrative changes when you're a man versus a woman? When a man gets divorced, the changes are much more drastic than for a woman. Many men have to leave their homes, and while this might seem minor to women, it's incredibly difficult when you don't have a support system. Men often try to prolong the marriage because they're the ones trying to fix the problems. No one wants to lose their family. They know that once the divorce starts, they likely won't see their kids. And there are men who have dreamed their whole lives of being fathers. On top of that, there's the financial hit, the cost of finding a lawyer, and the fact that the person filing for divorce has often been preparing for months. Sometimes, they already have a lawyer, evidence against you, and their family on their side. Meanwhile, you have nothing. You're caught off guard, and everything hits you at once. Some men experience panic attacks or mental breakdowns on top of other adult responsibilities and issues they're already dealing with. For us, it feels like we're not even allowed to be weak. This is why you should always hire a lawyer, no matter what kind of divorce it is. A lawyer in a divorce is like a rifle for a soldier in war. Without it, you're dead.
To successfully parent a child while bringing a new person into their life, you have to be on it. You have to have a lot of cognitive bandwidth. You have to be willing to read books and listen to podcasts and think hard about your kids' emotional needs and think hard about your own ethics as a partner. Like, it's not easy. And when people go out of their way to make it look easy, they have their own issues. For every extra child in the mix, each of those stages takes longer. So no, I don't think that 2 kids and a parent can process the trauma and loss and grief from a divorce in 1 year. I think you give them another year. And I don't think that they can find a new rhythm, a new daily rhythm in 1 year. You got to give them another year. I don't think you can give them the chance to cultivate the cognitive bandwidth of welcoming a new person into their lives in 1 year. So we expand it. Is it fun to be the divorced parent with kids, staying single so that you can just get through these stages? It is not fun. That is why people start new relationships before they get out of marriages. It's why people rush things with new people. It is because people want to avoid those things. It is because people don't want to process the loss and trauma and grief of a hard marriage and a divorce. They don't want to process it. They want to be starting something new. And that's very human, and it's also not fair. It's not fair to the new person. It's not fair to the kids. And ultimately, it's actually not even fair to the parent getting divorced.
I date, but my kids don't know anything about my dating life. Dating versus escalating and integrating relationships are 2 very different things. So a person with 4 kids should not date for 12 years? That's ridiculous. I knew of someone who married only 1 or 2 years after his divorce was completed. He didn't have kids, but I thought he went really fast with his second. My parents have been married 4 times each. I'm divorced. Blending is so overrated. I disagree. My husband would have been snagged so fast. He's a keeper, and I'm glad I got in there quickly, or he would have been dating someone else. The vast majority of people in prison, on drugs, or on stripper poles come from broken homes. Stop getting divorced if you care about your kids.
I honestly think that divorce if you don't have kids and divorce if you have kids should be called 2 different things because the experience is so different. If you don't have kids, you get divorced, you're out of each other's lives. If you do have kids, in no way are you out of each other's lives. And you have to process the loss. What are you actually saying goodbye to? What are you actually welcoming in? And you have to do that while that other parent is still in your life. People have very, very simplistic takes on divorce and remarriage. There are lots of people who will say really, really mean things about men going out and finding new women. There are lots of people who say incredibly mean things about single moms. People get so mean about it because it's a very triggering topic because it is people's childhoods we're talking about, and that's very triggering. Because it is people's childhoods that we're talking about, take the time to go slow. Create the time, actually process what has happened. And more than that, give your kids all the time in the world to process what they went through before entering them into something new.
I won't deny it. This woman has a point. I think as a man, you should get your life in order first because the changes after a divorce are radical, especially when it comes to your finances, which often take a huge hit. However, what I notice in her message is that she's specifically talking about men, and I think this can be looked at in 2 ways. It's very different to be the one who files for divorce compared to the one who is served with divorce papers. The first type, the one filing for divorce, has already decided to leave, prepared for it, and set their mind on moving forward. But for the one who's being divorced, whether they were cheated on, blindsided, or given a sudden reason to end the marriage, it's much harder to move on. They didn't choose to leave. They were pushed out or forced to go. Life is tricky. You could get divorced or be left, and then a month later meet an amazing woman. someone truly special. But here's the thing. It's very likely you won't have that opportunity with her 6 months or a year down the line. It's a moment in time. If you let her go, she won't come back. That's why this situation has so many nuances, and the impact really depends on which side of the divorce you're on. What do you all think? We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, here are some questions for you. Why do you think women grieve the relationship while they're still in it? How long do you think someone should wait before dating after a divorce? If you enjoyed the video, we invite you to subscribe. We've also left you 2 great videos about divorce stories. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss our next installment here on The Wall.